Alrighty, it is morning on Sunday, Easter Sunday technically, and I'm really enjoying myself. Like, it's so nice. I got like this whole cabana to myself and like sitting in front of a pool. Here, I'll show it to you. That is cool. So I hope you guys are having fun too. And this is something that I was thinking about because I was with my family, like, you know, really enjoying it with my family. And I love, I love these trips, like visiting them or like hanging out with them. But, you know, like, it's not always roses. You know, I criticize my family sometimes. Sometimes I talk shit about my family. And like sometimes I'll talk shit about my community where I grew up or my background or people close to me or whatever, stuff like that, you know. And I know that it gets people like really upset because they're like, what is wrong with you? You're just like airing your dirty laundry or whatever. And I see people saying that about other people too. Like sometimes like people will go on YouTube or they'll go on like Instagram, whatever, and they'll like, you know, talk shit about like family members or friends or whatever, and people get really upset about that, and I totally get it. That's actually a sign of being in a healthy relationship, when you feel free enough to talk shit about people. You know what I mean? Like, you're not afraid of them. You're not afraid like, oh no, what would the community say if I say this bad thing? Or like, what will people think? What are they gonna do to me if I say anything negative about them? Like, oh no, like, you know, because a lot of times people will be in legitimately abusive, coercive, like manipulative situations where they're completely isolated and they can't say anything negative about what is happening around them. You know, you have to be able to talk about what is happening to you in your life. And like, a lot of times people will be in situations where like they can't talk and they're effectively silenced, and but like they'll just put on like a nice smiley face and they'll be like, yeah, my family is the best family in the world, they're so great, I don't have anything negative to say about them. It's like, nobody has nothing negative to say about their family. Everybody has something negative to say about their family. That's part of life. Like, no matter what your family is, you're gonna have negative stuff to say about them. But like, if you're not saying anything negative ever and you're basically like always gonna put a nice front, then I'm gonna assume that you're being abused in some way, because like, that's not normal. And usually when people are so concerned with putting like a really nice, perfect front, oh shit, there's a bee. Usually when people are so concerned with putting a perfect front for other people, they're either being manipulated, bullied, or like the community. They're...
You got this cabana Reddit today?
What is it?
You have the cabana Reddit?
Nope.
These are fucked, okay?
Okay.
Alright.
Okay, I'm gonna get it. So anyway, I have to go, but I will continue. This is like so cool. Isn't this beautiful? I'm really a fan of this. There's so much nature and trees. Wow. Look at that water. Anyway, as I was saying, hopefully the sound is a little better here. So, as I was saying, I think a lot of people who are like, oh yeah, my family is perfect and my friends are perfect, and like everything is perfect, and they have nothing to say, they are not being real. And which is fine. It's actually really nice. It's actually a really nice thing to like want to protect your family and friends. I personally can't do it because I know that like, if I have to hold it all in, I will feel isolated, I'll feel depressed, and I know a lot of people, I know I'm not the only one. I know that there are a lot of people who feel depressed, isolated, you know, because they can't like talk about what they're feeling and what's happening to them. And like, no matter who you are, you're gonna hurt somebody. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're bullies or they're not bullies or they're bad people. It just means that we're all humans. But if you're gonna force someone, like coerce them to be silent, you know what I mean? Or if they're gonna force you to be silent, that's bullying. Like, that's abusive. You know what I mean? Abusive is when you try to control the outcome like that to the point where they're isolated and they can't talk and they don't feel like they can be heard by anybody, and nobody is gonna know what they're feeling, what they're going through. That's isolating. That's isolation. It's like, you don't want to be doing that. So like, and another thing is like, I feel like when I'm around other people that can speak their mind and they feel comfortable to just like talk shit about people, you know, like when, you know, like those kids that like, you're like, yeah, what is your mom like? And like the kid starts talking shit about their mom immediately. You know that you can feel comfortable around that kid to like speak your mind, because that kid is being honest. You know what I mean? That kid is not afraid of his mother. He's not afraid of his mother to say something. You know which kind of families I would be more afraid to be around? The families, and there's a lot of, and it's usually, you see this a lot with religious people. A lot of religious families are like this, where like the kids will never say anything negative about the parents. Which is like, on the surface, you're like, wow, what great kids. They won't say anything negative about their parents. But like, what is going on behind closed doors that the parents are have ingrained it so much in their kid's head, the kid is not allowed to talk about anything that is bothering them. You know, like, healthy family to me is one where the kids are openly talking shit about their parents. Because like, every kid has shit to say about their parents. It doesn't matter if your parent is a saint. Every kid is going to have shit to say about their parents. You know, like, every friend, you know, like, I know that there's people will have shit to say about me. You know what I mean? Like, it's just part of life. It's just part of, like, it's just part of being a human. When I'm around other people that are, like, open and comfortable about talking, you know, criticizing other people in their lives, like, you know, criticizing the people, talking shit about people close to them. They're not afraid. They're not like, oh no, like, you know, like, I feel comfortable around those people because I feel like I can do it myself. Like, I want to be able to talk shit about my family if I feel like it. You know what I mean? Like, my family, you know, they're gonna love me regardless. That is really important, and that's a sign of being in a healthy relationship, is when you can openly talk about it. When you don't have to like sugarcoat things and hide things. I was watching this, like, these people were like making this video about Teal Swan, this woman that like, she came from like this very Mormon community, and she has alluded in the past to things she didn't like about her community, and it's like, and then they made this whole like expose documentary about how she's evil and she's throwing her community and her family under the bus, and it's like, that's a sign of a cult. If you can't, if your community is one where your community and your family are one where you can't say anything about them, and she didn't even say anything that, like, she didn't even say anything that major, like, ever. Like, if your community and family are the type that you can't say anything negative about them, and it's the slightest, without being like cast as this evil person that is throwing them under the bus, and then you can't and you'll get so offended, then you're not worth being part of. You have to be the kind of person that, like, people can talk shit about you, and you'll be fine. You know what I mean? Because you have your sense of self, and like, that's what I want to be around. Like, you know, you don't have to be like that for other people, but for me, like, that's the kind of person that's the kind of people I want to be around. I want to be around people that are so comfortable in their sense of self that, like, I can still be myself and I can still talk about what I want to talk about without them feeling thrown under the bus. I just don't want to, like, be silenced for other people, and I feel like there's so many people out there that are making other people do that. And there are a lot of YouTubers that I see that, like, openly talk shit about their friends and family, but they actually, like, still have good relationships with those people. And I think that's actually pretty healthy, because it shows, like, they're not afraid of their friends and family. They're not being abused. They're not being silenced. They're being allowed to be their own selves and still be in relationships with those people, which is really powerful. And I think over time, that builds for a stronger relationship and less shit talking. Anyway, so that's all I have to say about that. I hope it made sense, and I hope the music wasn't too loud, and I hope it doesn't get, like, I don't know, banned from YouTube, because, like, some of the music is probably copyrighted in the background, and it's really hard to find a quiet place in this resort that's, like, beautiful and quiet at the same time. Anyway, see you guys later. I always read your comments and I really appreciate them a lot. These are the stingrays.